What if the reason you feel stuck is not that you haven't done enough, but that you are carrying too much? You've been told that rising to a higher state of existence is about addition. You've been programmed to add morning routines, add positive affirmations, and add endless layers of self-improvement, as if your soul were a bucket you could simply fill until it overflows. You think the things holding you back are external. You tell yourself it's a lack of money, a lack of connections, or a lack of opportunity. That is the comforting lie the weak tell themselves to avoid the mirror. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli sat in the halls of power and watched people destroy themselves, not through their vices, but through their attachments. He watched men cling to being good while being devoured. He watched men strangle themselves with the need to be understood. He watched rulers fall because they refused to drop the one thing they believed made them worthy. And he wrote down what he saw, not as philosophy, as autopsy. Machiavelli understood something that the self-help industry still hides from you. Your highest state is not achieved, it is revealed. And it is revealed only when you stop clutching the things that make you feel safe, valuable, and righteous, because those are exactly the things that make you predictable, manipulable, and weak. He didn't write about vibrating higher, he wrote about becoming untouchable. And the path to untouchability is not a path of acquisition. So today, we are not adding anything to your life. We are performing an excision. 5 things you must give up, not because spiritual influences told you to, but because Machiavelli knew that every attachment you refuse to sever is a leash someone more ruthless than you is already holding. These are the 5 things you must give up now, to stop being a participant in other people's games and start becoming the sovereign of your own. Pay attention. If you ignore the last one, you have already lost the right to complain about the result. 1. Give up the need for approval. You want to know why you still feel small even after all the work. It is not because you lack talent. It is not because you lack discipline. It is because you have spent your entire life performing for a jury that was never going to vote in your favor. Think about the last conversation you had where you walked away replaying it. Did I say the right thing? Did they like me? Did I sound smart enough? That recording in your head, that is not self-awareness. That is approval addiction. And like any addiction, it has a tolerance curve. You need more and more validation just to feel normal. And the moment it is withheld, you crash. You have built your entire psychological architecture on a fault line. You believe that if you are good enough, helpful enough, likable enough, the world will eventually recognize you and reward you. You believe that approval is a gate that opens to opportunity, that if you just collect enough nods, enough smiles, enough "you're so nice" comments, you will be let into the room where the real decisions are made. This is the most expensive lie you have ever been sold. Because here is what actually happens. Every time you adjust yourself to be liked, you become legible, you become predictable, you become the kind of person others can map. They learn exactly which words make you nod, which silences make you nervous, which criticisms make you spiral. And once someone can map you, they can steer you. Think about the last time you wanted to say no, but said yes instead. You didn't do it out of kindness. You did it out of fear. You were afraid of the 3 seconds of awkward silence that follow a refusal. You were afraid of being thought of as difficult, selfish, or not a team player. So you traded your most precious resource, your time and your energy, to buy a momentary sigh of relief from someone who will forget your sacrifice by tomorrow. A dirty player, or even just a dominant one, can smell this desperation from a mile away. They don't have to threaten you, they just have to withhold their validation. They keep you in a state of perpetual performance, watching you jump through hoops, just to earn a nod of approval that they have no intention of ever making permanent. Machiavelli observed that the man who seeks to be loved by all will eventually be betrayed by all. Why? Because to be loved by everyone, you must stand for nothing. You must be a liquid, constantly changing your shape to fit the container of someone else's expectations. You have no core, you have no boundaries. You are a hollow shell that echoes the opinions of whoever spoke to you last. You think this makes you safe. You think that if you are good enough and liked enough, the world will treat you fairly. Machiavelli would laugh at that belief. He saw that the good man is the first one devoured because his predictability makes him a low-risk target. Your need for approval is a homing beacon for predators. It tells them exactly where your armor is thin. It tells them that if they just act a little bit disappointed in you, you will hand them the keys to your kingdom just to make the feeling go away. To vibrate higher, to move into a state of strategic dominance, you must perform a psychological execution of the good guy persona. This persona is a leash. It keeps you small, it keeps you quiet, it keeps you safe in a world that eats the safe. You have to be willing to be the villain in someone else's story. If you are doing something significant, someone, somewhere, will be offended. If you are protecting your time, someone will call you selfish. If you are speaking the truth, someone will call you arrogant. Let them. Machiavelli understood that it is much safer to be feared than loved, but more importantly, he understood that it is impossible to be effective while you are chasing affection. Affection is fickle, results are absolute. When you give up the need for approval, you stop being a participant in a popularity contest and start becoming a player in the game of reality. If you have finally realized that your kindness was actually just a way for people to use you, drop this in the comments. The leash is cut. 2. Give up the need to be understood. Have you ever tried to explain yourself to someone who was never going to get it? Not because they lack intelligence, not because they are cruel, simply because they are operating from a different set of assumptions, a different emotional language, a different reality, and no amount of words will ever bridge that gap. You have spent your entire life explaining yourself. You explain why you feel the way you feel. You explain why you made the choices you made. You explain why you said what you said, why you didn't say what you didn't say, why you are the way you are. You explain to parents who will never see you clearly. You explain to partners who nod along while waiting for their turn to speak. You explain to friends who offer advice about things they have never experienced. You explain to bosses who evaluate you based on categories you do not fit into. And after every explanation, you walk away feeling the same thing, empty. Because being understood was never the goal. The goal was relief. The goal was connection. The goal was to finally feel that someone saw you, really saw you, and did not turn away. But that relief never comes. Not fully, not permanently, because the need to be understood is not a bridge to others. It is a leak in your hull, and every time you try to fill it with their understanding, you lose a little more of yourself. Look at your life honestly. How many hours have you spent crafting the perfect explanation for why you left that job, why you ended that relationship, why you don't call as often as you should, why you believe what you believe, value what you value, want what you want? And how many of those explanations actually changed anything? They didn't, because the people who need you to explain yourself are not people who are capable of understanding you. They are people who want you to fit into a box they have already built. Your explanation is just you handing them tools to reshape you into something they can manage. The harsh truth is that most people are not capable of understanding your vision, your ambition, or the cold logic required for your success. They haven't lived your life, they don't share your drive, and they are looking through the lens of their own limitations. When you try to make them understand, you are attempting to drag them up a mountain they aren't equipped to climb. You are diluting your strategy to fit their comfort zone. Machiavelli observed that a prince who explains his movements to the court soon finds himself governed by the court's confusion. A leader's strength is found in the black box, the ability to act, to move, and to produce results without ever revealing the internal machinery of their mind. If they don't understand you, let them be confused. Their confusion is your cover. Stop treating your life like a public debate. You do not need a majority vote to be right. You do not need a shared understanding to be effective. If your results are undeniable, the world will eventually adjust its reality to match yours. If your results are weak, no amount of explaining will save your reputation. You have been socialized to believe that communication is the solution to every problem. It isn't. In the world of power, communication is often just a leak. When you are truly sovereign, you become comfortable being the villain in someone else's narrative. You let them tell their stories. You let them spread their theories. You stay silent, you stay focused, and you stay in the unassailable position. The only thing that matters is the outcome. Machiavelli would never advise you to hide from everyone. He would never tell you to build walls so high that nothing reaches you. But he would absolutely tell you to stop handing strangers the keys to your interior. He would ask you, what do you gain by being understood? Does it protect you? Does it feed you? Does it move you closer to your goals? Or does it simply soothe the loneliness that returns the moment the conversation ends? The need to be understood is a form of begging. You are begging them to validate your existence. You are begging them to confirm that you are real, that you matter, that you are not alone in the vast indifference of the world. And while you beg, they are deciding what to do with the information you have given them. Once someone knows that you need to be understood, they have leverage. They can withhold understanding as punishment. They can grant it as reward. They can misinterpret you strategically to provoke you into over-explaining, over-justifying, over-revealing. Every time you scramble to correct their misperception, you are handing them more data about what you care about, what you fear, what you cannot tolerate. You are training them, and they are learning. You must develop the psychological discipline to walk away from a conversation where you are being misrepresented. You must be able to sit in a room where people are whispers about your motives and feel absolutely nothing. Sovereignty